Now we're going to run through the alarms tab of the master mode. And alarms are kind of a double-edged sword. They're good at letting you know something's happening in the network, but lots of things happen in the network and it can get a little annoying. So sometimes you may want to disable alarms for one of your nodes that may be experiencing dropouts or some other anomaly. But this lets you monitor many things within each of the nodes of the network. And the way it works is you enable alarms, and you'll see that you can monitor the input to the master, the output from a remote. If the remote lost lock for whatever reason, that will show up. If he's dropping packets, that will show up. If his temperature is too high or too low, that will show up. And if his received signal strength is too low, that will show up. So lots of different things to watch, and they can all be enabled or disabled with these little check boxes. With this enabled, send once enabled, the alarm will be sent one time and then it will stop sending it again and again, even though the alarm continues to be valid. So we encourage you to leave this on send once, otherwise you're going to get messages every 5 minutes or whichever you've got the timeout set to. So keep that in mind. Just send the alarm message one time, and that's probably plenty. To reset alarms that have happened, you just hit reset all. And then scheduler notifications, you can also enable anytime the scheduler turns things on or off. They will also be sent if you select this. So let's leave this off. The time delays at the bottom are something you can set also. I have this set as a default of 300 seconds, which is 5 minutes. So if an alarm happens, the system will wait 5 minutes before it actually sends you a notification of that. And you can set this to whatever you want, but 5 minutes allows transient alarms to come and go and not continue to annoy you with repetitive messages every minute. The audio silence is a way of determining how long you want to wait before you decide the audio has been lost on the input or the output. And typically about 60 seconds is a good number. I'm going to leave this at 5 seconds just to demonstrate how it works. So keep this at about 60 or 30 so that periods of either low-level music or silence between songs doesn't trigger an alarm. These are obvious high and low temperature alarms. The system can easily operate up to 150 and down to minus 40. So anything outside of those bounds would get alarmed. And then the RSSI, Received Signal Strength Indicator, if it drops below minus 80 dBm, that will send an alarm also. So that's what these settable parameters are. And these stick so that once you change them and you close the network manager, they'll come back to what you set them for. So when we get an alarm, what happens is the timeout begins, and it waits for, let's do a silence alarm. Let's say I'm going to shut down the audio that's coming in. It's playing now, but I'll turn it off. And then in 5 seconds, we'll get an indication that we've lost audio to the master in a remote. So there's the remote audio, and the master's on a slightly different time, and there's the master. So now we're waiting. Now that we've had a 5-second delay before we detected the alarm, we've got a 300-second delay before we do anything with it. So after 300 seconds, that alarm will then get sent to one of 2 email recipients or texted to one of 2 text recipients. And then you can set that up here, enable 1 or 2 of these, enable your phone number, and you can pick your messaging, Verizon, Singular, Sprint, etc. from here. The sender information we've just put down in the bottom here in generic form. You could put your own email address or that of your city. The email server is a free server that we're using on your behalf, essentially. It's a free server that lets you send emails through it and doesn't block them. So just leave all of this like it is unless you want to use your own email server for that. And the subject line of the alarm message, the email or text, is this. And then what you may want to do is, your network location is your city, for example. And so we're still counting down to the 300 seconds. If for some reason you want to, or if the audio starts playing again, so I'll click play over here on the other screen. These are transient alarms, which mean they can go away if the audio comes back. So that's why you want to have a delay before you detect it and have a delay before you send it, so that pauses between audio clips or songs don't trigger erroneous alarms. So that's what happened there. If you want to reset the alarms, you click that and the alarm message goes away. I'll show you if we enable the scheduler and then we go over to the scheduler on Thursday and say it's currently on until 6. I'm going to turn it off at 5, and you'll see the zone go off. If we go back over to alarms, you got a message that the scheduler zone 1 went off at 5:29. So this is a good way to back up and double check to make sure your scheduler is doing what it's supposed to do at the time that you think it's supposed to be doing it. So you can clear that alarm too. So that's kind of a thumbnail, and this is something you'll have to kind of play with and determine whether or not you want to measure these, you want to keep track of them, you want to go to 1 or 2 different people, and so forth. But that's the essence of how the alarm tab on the master screen works.